Right.
Just in case someone...
Thank you for the warning.
Same if someone starts coughing.
Yeah. Right, thank you very much. Hello everybody. It's Monday the 6th of September. It's 7:30. We are expecting one more person, but we'll start now. And we'll start with receiving apologies for absence and any declarations for interest. We've got apologies from Heather, Rob and Et, Parish Councillors, and we have apologies from County Councillor Doug Dew. Any declarations of interest? Councillors? Yeah. I would also just say, welcome Sarah. It's not on my promise sheet, so sorry. But there you go, I've had it. Welcome, and this is your first council meeting, so good luck and enjoy.
Thank you.
And at this point of the council meeting, I close the Parish Council meeting and I open the Parish Council meeting to receive any comments and observations from members of the public, and we'll ignore the one that says receive reports from County Councillor, because it's not here. Any comments from the public? I'll put the glasses on so I can see. John Smith.
Smith with 2 Fs. It's reference 21-2280.
Oh yes.
I don't know whether any of you have been in touch with the vicar in the past few months, but because Ralph handed me all the documentation of grave spaces available for the future, the vicar and I went round, it must be 6 months ago, and went round and sorted out how many spaces would be available. And we're talking about probably 10 years worth, 25 to 30.
Yeah, we had a letter from the Reverend Buss, sort of informing us about 10 years, and that's why we brought it up now. Better start and leave it till the last minute. Although last minute is a little while away. So thank you, yes. And that's excellent work done to identify that it's not a major panic and things like that.
Well, I have all the documentation.
Okay, thank you, John. We will come on to that when we get to that. I think that I'll say now that the idea of the agenda item is to set up a working group to take forward the letter from the vicar. So we'll talk to you as well.
Very good, thank you.
Pleasure. Anybody else? Andy?
Yeah, a couple. The one on the Pavilion defib, I don't know what the request, well, I can guess what the request is. I'm sure you will, but from our experience of having done the one in the village, British Heart Foundation did give us a grant. The moment the grants are closed because of COVID, but they expect them to reopen again. So if you decide to go forward and go for a defib here, it's very much worthwhile approaching British Heart Foundation.
Thank you.
And the last one is the correspondence with Community Road Watch. I don't know what the correspondence is again. I would very much ask you to support them. They do regular sessions in the village. It's very complimentary. It doesn't do the same thing as Speedwatch or HGV Watch. It's one of the complementary weapons that we've got. They do an excellent job, right to the hauliers at the speeding and anybody else that does as well. So I would ask you to support those, please.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Anybody else from the floor? No, in that case, thank you very much. I'll just make a note for when we get to that discussion. And then I'll be okay, so at that moment in time, I close the floor to members of the public and reopen the Parish Council meeting. The first item on the agenda is to approve the minutes of the Parish Council meeting held on the 22nd of July and the minutes of the planning meetings held on the 20th of July and the 3rd of August. Right, so you've had the minutes. Does anybody have any, hopefully if you had any queries, you've already submitted them to Sharon, so this will be a straight, you have? Nicola. Sharon wasn't really interested in any problems you might have had. The sun's been out. The sun's been out today. Right. Yes, if you had any queries regarding the minutes, you asked Nicola. And in the absence of any comment, I shall say that I propose we accept the minutes of the Parish Council meeting held on the 22nd of July. Sharon seconded. Thank you very much. All those in favour?
I can't read.
You won't
You
hear.
weren't there, did we?
Well done. Thank you very much. What was in them?
Now you've got me on the spot.
And then we had a planning meeting on the 20th of July, which was to discuss, that was Manor Farm, that was development of 2 residential dwellings, and 5 Scots Close, which was recommended to be supported for approval, and 5 Scots Close at an upper floor extension above existing garage, and that was resolved that no comment was made on that application. And have we got enough people who were there?
No.
We have. Yes, we have. Sharon, Graham and myself. So I propose that those minutes are accepted.
I'm happy to second that.
Thank you very much. Those in favour? All 3 of us. Thank you. And then we had another planning meeting on the 3rd of August, and oh yes, we got enough people. And that was to look at Fields View, and that was recommended that we refuse or don't support the application much on the basis of we had before. So I propose that we accept those, or adopt those minutes. Sharon seconding it. All of those in favour? That's all 3 of us. Right. Next one is matters arising from the last meeting, clerk's report. Information only, no discussion, no decisions, and over to you, Nicola.
Could the councillor who has not returned her armband please do so as soon as possible? Sarah has completed her declaration of acceptance of office and register of interest forms, and we're in the process of adding her to the bank account. On the matter of 20's Plenty for Cambridgeshire, the wheelie bin stickers have been purchased and recently received, so I posted notices on both the website and Facebook. Information was also included in the Spectrum article, and at this point 2 parishioners have requested stickers. The tree inspection regime, the adopted policy has been submitted to the insurers, and I've actually had a response this evening to say that the policy is acceptable. The A14 Legacy Project, I requested the drawings from Highways England, but unfortunately they weren't received in time for this meeting, so they will be on a future agenda. The materials for the village sign have been purchased, and posts on both the website and Facebook had advised the parishioners of the work and its progress, and it seems to be quite well received. Cambridge Triathlon, the event is currently showing as postponed on their website. I don't have any further information on that one. A certified copy of the easement for Dunadry, however you pronounce it, has been received by the council, and the easement is currently in the process of being registered with the land registry. The Cambridgeshire and Peterborough Minerals and Waste Local Plan has been adopted by both Cambridge County Council and Peterborough City Council. It can be viewed on their websites. The Parish Council Facebook page has now over 200 likes. The Community Book Exchange is now open in the church, and again it's been advertised on the website, Facebook and the notice boards. In the matter of the outline planning application for 18 houses on Church End west of Wychwood, the application went before the District Council's Development Management Committee on Monday the 23rd of August. Councillors Baliki and Barradell spoke on behalf of the Council, and after deliberation the application was refused by the Development Management Committee. A parishioner has contacted me since then to thank the Council for their work regarding this application. And last but not least, the County Council have launched a survey regarding riparian watercourse guidance to seek residents' views and get a better understanding of their awareness of riparian issues in order to update their riparian guidance document. The survey has been publicised on both the website and Facebook page. There you go.
And the next bit is so the next item on the agenda is to review and ratify the decisions made under the scheme of delegation. Do you want me to do that?
I don't mind if you do it.
I'll do that if you like. There was a request came in for a private firework display on the football pitch on the 2nd of September, which was declined. There was a response submitted to the active travel scheme consultation to state we were disappointed that Hilton had not been included in the opinion, in the options, despite our previous correspondence. Do we have to do that on scheme of delegation though?
Yeah.
Graham and I went to the HDC Development Management Committee. I'll just add a little bit into that for information. The vote was 7-7 and the chairman cast his vote to decline the application. We will have to see what happens when it's appealed, because I'm sure it will be appealed. The SSLCC play area survey has been completed.
Sorry, I should give you a bit of
And a keyholder form has been completed to allow an additional keyholder for the pavilion to allow the croquet club to continue. Has been approved. So there you go.
Is that the end of the item?
Yes.
How long is the scheme delegation going on for? I thought it was...
No, that was the emergency scheme of delegation that
This is
expired.
the normal
This is
scheme.
the normal scheme of delegation.
This will be an item on all the future...
Where there have been decisions on the scheme of delegation.
Excellent.
So, are you going to resolve to ratify those decisions?
Oh yeah, better ratify resolve. I propose that we ratify those decisions. Sharon's seconding it. All those in favour? Your first vote. Brilliant. So that's good. And as Nicola, Deborah, Sharon has told us, there are ongoing decisions to be made on the scheme of delegation, and they will be reported at all parish council meetings. Next is Steph Webb. Hello, Steph Webb.
Hello.
Steph is a youth and community coordinator from Cambridgeshire County Council, and so tell us why she's here, what she wants to talk to us about, etc. If you're happy at that.
Brilliant, thank you very much. I won't take up too much of your time. Sorry I'm a bit croaky. I have had COVID the last 2-3 weeks ago and it's lingered with this croaky voice, so apologies if it's not very clear. So yes, I'm new in post. I started end of July, so my role is Youth and Community Coordinator for the whole of Huntingdonshire. So I've literally just been emailing everybody to say hello, I'm here, can I help in any way, and just to make sure that people know about my role really and possibly how we can support people locally. So we have various, in the youth services as such. There's literally just me now for the whole of Huntingdonshire, unfortunately due to all the cuts that have been happened over the years. So we've adopted a asset-based community development approach, which basically means that I come out, I talk to young people, I talk to community members, and then we see if we can support the community to try and address and support their young people themselves. So I can offer support by training, DBS checks. We also have small pots of funding that we have available to kickstart things, to get things going. I can also help with larger funding applications. We have access to the grant finder searches. So if there's anything really that the village would like to do to support 0 to 19-year-olds, please just think of me. Nicola's got my email address. I'd be more than happy to come along and speak to people and see how we can help. At the moment we've got 2 very, very simple grants that we're encouraging people to think about. One is a £500 COVID enabler grant, and that is really just 3 questions that we ask people to think about how could they support young people post-COVID to get back out there and get involved. So that could be if they need extra support to join clubs or travel, or if we've had some parish councils say, well, could we use that funding to try and support a community event, and some of that money go towards targeting young people to be involved by hiring in facilities. So they're very, very simple. It takes literally a day to get the application approved. So it's a very quick process. If you've got anything happening locally and you'd like to try and target and involve young people, then that's a nice one to try and access quite easily. The other one is the Community Reach Fund, which is £1,000, and that is more for a longer term piece of work if you'd like to develop something like a youth club or a youth council or something like that. And along with that would also come my support to come in and help work with people to try and support that to happen. So I've got some literature here, some nice little diagrams that really just sum up what I've said really. You've got it there as well, so brilliant. So I can leave those for you, but it was really, I'm just getting out just to meet people, because I'm a big believer coming face to face is nice to just say hello, and hopefully then you'll remember me, and if something does crop up with young people in the village, you can contact me.
In fact, there is great need for something for, you know, teenagers, or because the park has 12 years. So actually just last week there was a parent saying to me, you know, there is nothing for teenagers in the village. So, you know, maybe looking at applying for that £500 grant, we could get the ball rolling on some sort of activity for them. And when you say, you know, you have access to much bigger grants,
Yes.
I mean, we've got an ongoing project with the pavilion to be renovated. So, is that a council grant?
Yes, some of them, we have the Innovative Cultivate grants, so they go up to £50,000. So the capital funding grant is stopped at the moment, but we've still got the Innovate. So some parish councillors have looked at partnership working, joint funding, youth worker posts, you know, to actually create a full-time youth worker post, then go on and develop provision. But also we can access other, you know, we're all the while getting information from the National Youth Agency and Youth Clubs UK, and lots of them is about grants that are available out there nationally. So, you know, we have parish councils this week contact me saying we're looking for some AstroTurf funding. So I've gone away, done a little bit of research for them, then gone back, you know, to 3 potential grants that they could look at.
Excellent.
Now, would an existing organisation such as the Brownies or Guides be able to apply for one of the grants?
Yes, I mean the CRF, the Community Reach Fund, is more about kick-starting new stuff off, but
Right.
it's how you develop it. So if it was to, you know, I don't know, try and do a residential camp that they've never done before, you know, or targeting a specific, you know, project that they want to develop, I don't know, volunteering in a home or something like that, then it would still be a new project within a project. So we're pretty flexible, pretty creative. We don't want to make it hard. We just want to see young people getting out there doing things, really.
And the community garden project, as we know,
I was just reading about that one.
they might be. Would that be something you'd be interested in?
Yeah, definitely. We've supported community. I mean, it's very. I mean, even though the grants are there to support 0 to 19, you know, we're pretty flexible. So if we know that we've got parents that are struggling, and that is potentially going to support them, and then that's going to have a knock-on effect on the young people, then there's ways again that we can do that. We've done that in the past.
Yeah, thank you. That's it. We must tell the community garden.
And setting up a youth club would be brilliant, actually, because we used that years ago.
I think there was some people that set up a youth club and it fizzled out because of lack of attendance, I believe.
But that's at least 10 years ago, isn't it?
Oh, yeah.
More.
Yeah, just needs to
There's a huge amount of teenagers in this village now, so, and they have nowhere to go, so they just tend to hang out.
So if their parents would like to come forward to organise it, that would be good. Then they'll be able to reach for a grant and have the youth club set up for their teenagers. Because that's what it needs, isn't it? Somebody to run it.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, I mean, we've had things like that come forward again on Facebook pages. Just people putting some basic consultation questions out there, and then, you know, if you get to the position that you do have some parents come forward, I'll be more than happy to come out and speak to them. You know, we support them to set up the governance, the grants, we help them do the DBS checks, make sure they get child protection, safeguarding training. They can also do the level 1 in youth work qualification with us. So, you know, we've also setting up a Huntingdonshire-wide providers meeting so they could link with other youth clubs, you know, across the district to learn what other people are doing. We've also still got a resource base where they can hire out equipment very cheap, you know, £2-3 a week for activities. So there's, you know, there's the support is there for them. The problem we don't have now, like I say, is the staffing. So it's just finding people that have got an interest that we can hopefully develop and nurture and upskill to support their own communities.
There used to be a bus, a double-decker bus that used to go around, and I know it went, I don't know if it came to this village, but it did it? I know it went to a village across the A14, but I don't know if that still exists, does it? Is that something that comes under your remit? Or
they're a local charity, so,
okay.
So Connections,
That's it,
Connections Youth Bus,
yeah.
and then we support them and we work. I went to university with one of them, so we've had it for years. But yeah, so they're, you know, they're still out delivering, but they do charge the parish councils for delivering that service, obviously for bringing in the youth work staff.
okay.
Might be a start there, actually.
Yes. Yeah, it says decide upon any action. So I'll put a thought out there that we perhaps advertise, in our Spectrum report on our Facebook page, on our website, we invite people to come forward if they would like to set up a youth group for the teenagers in the village, and we can point them in the direction of Steph, the Youth and Community Coordinator, as a starter. Because if there are parents saying there's nothing for their children to do, let's encourage them to put something for their children to do.
That's great.
So that's a proposal from me. Sharon seconds it. All those in favour?
Yeah.
All those abstain? Thank you. Right, so, Steph, thank you very much indeed. We will obviously come back to you if and when, of course, because then people will be inundated by parents wanting to set something up for their children.
Of course.
And we're going to tell the garden people about you as well, because they've got projects going on. I think they've put a request into us later on the agenda for a grant or a small donation. So they may be, because they involve young families within the village quite heavily. So we'll see if they come forward as well too. And how long have you been in post?
It was end of July, so yeah, not very long till. So yeah, it's just good to get out and meet people.
Yeah, so September is on now, as he says. So how many meetings have you been to?
Too many.
Well, that's,
I think, and in fairness, we've had a very good response. Probably about 30 parish councils have contacted us back inviting us in County and District. And it's also good because I've been out meeting all the providers as well. So there are lots of groups out there that are still existing. So it's nice sometimes to try and link people up and learn from each other.
yeah, because if there was an interest, a small interest in Hilton and a small interest in Fensampton, they could be merged to be a big interest, couldn't they? Perhaps, as a thing. Great. No comments? That's all right. So, thank you very much for coming along. You don't have to stay for the rest of the meeting.
Thank you very much.
Although I should have called and say, yes, you do. But no, please
I'll
do.
leave the information at the back for you.
Yeah, thank you
Thanks
very
for
much
your
indeed.
time. Okay, bye-bye.
Right, so good, and we decide upon the action, and we can discuss what we put on Facebook and that. But it'll be something short and something to try and encourage some people to come along. Because if people are saying there's nothing for them to do.
And also mentioning that there's grants available in support.
Yeah, this lady is quite, it will come and talk to us, so that's brilliant. Yeah, so that's encouraging. The next item on the agenda is to receive the report from the Green Open Spaces Working Group. Ian,
Right.
Good evening.
Thank you. Good evening. Not an awful lot to report at this stage, I'm afraid. I was hoping Kieran was in here, but he's homing in on the final stages of putting together the management plan. As soon as that is done, then there will be a convening with the Green Open Spaces Working Group to rubber stamp it, hopefully. One or two other things we need to address as well. As Nicola mentioned, we've only just received information for doing the work on the wear, the other side of the crossroads. And again, the group will have that just to pass comments and try and pull it apart a bit more than perhaps we could do at a meeting like this. So, say, not an awful lot to report, but that's where we are at the moment. So hopefully Kieran will have something to say on the October meeting. I say that because I'm not able to be here, so I'm banking on him. Okay.
Thank you, Ian. I don't think you will need to vote that, unfortunately. Next item is to discuss and decide upon the matter of the local highways improvement bid for 2022-2023.
Just to go back there.
Yeah.
On green open spaces, a suggestion it should be a standing agenda item. Was that not on the agenda? It's not on the agenda, but it's on the highways.
Yes.
It's on the panel. Oh, well, we'll bring that up at the next meeting. They put that onto the agenda.
Okay.
To be discussed. Thank you, Greg. Well spotted. Right, next item is to discuss and decide upon the matter of the local highways improvement bid for 2022-2023. So, as a little bit of background, Nicola and I had a meeting with Councillor Dew, who is our local county councillor. He was unable to come to the last Parish Council meeting. We met with him and we discussed LHI, and he was delighted that the 2021-2022 bid had been approved, which is to try and get a ban on HGVs down to 1040. His recommendation to us was that whilst that is going through its little bit of work that needs to be done, we leave the 1040 alone. Don't try and bring in other issues that would deflect from the one that everybody wants, which is to get a 24-hour ban on HGVs. So, at some point in September, whenever it is, an application needs to be submitted for another LHI for next year. So, there have been some articles put in the, where are we? Here. 30%. I was reading the wrong one, sorry. I was looking at the thing about speed limits. We have got other things that you could consider, which would be to reduce the speed limit. This is being requested by a parishioner, reduce the speed limit on the green from 40 to 30, which may cost between £4,500 to £16,000. A lot of that would be on signage, because I can remember talking to our previous county councillor about it. He said he probably would support it, but Cambridge County Council wouldn't put any money in it. It would be up to Hilton Parish Council to pay for the signage. And then there was a suggestion made at that meeting with Councillor Dew, was that perhaps our LHI on this occasion could be looked at to do something with the Ford. Now, we know that cyclists fall off in the Ford, don't they? And Cambridge County Council came along and put up some signs. And that's as far as it went, if I'm right? Yeah. So, if the council thought that improvements to the Ford was an option, what would we want to see done? We don't know what the cost would be, but you've got to be talking somewhere a few £1,000s. Or would you like to look at reducing the speed limit on the green? Or would you like to consider the 1040? Bearing in mind that Councillor Dew has suggested we leave that this year whilst the existing LHI is seen out.
I think the speeding on the green, reducing the speed coming into the village, because the cars just whiz down there and hit that bend, and there's so many near misses. It seems ridiculous that it's 40 along there next to a cricket.
Well, I think a football pitch, yeah.
So there's young people there, and you get cars whizzing by. So I do think it needs to be 30 on entering the village past the last thing.
Yeah. Okay. So there's an idea. Anybody else got some thoughts?
Thinking about the Ford, is that seems to have sort of gone quite quiet, hasn't it? It seems to dry up.
Well, it has dried up,
Previously,
which must make the water leaks for the tank.
Previously they used to dry up, so I'm hoping that maybe
Free water.
I'm hoping that maybe the algae will get a bit better.
And there are proper signs now, so if cyclists don't dismount or use the car, it's kind of up there in
Yeah, so we need to.
Yeah, no, I agree with you, actually, on it. Andy, you've got your hand up.
Yeah, just so you probably noticed I've put the data logger on the green for the last few weeks. So we're now collecting data
Oh, yes.
of all the vehicles going past, how many, how big, how fast, how everything else. It just might help with your deliberations. The speeding isn't really particularly excessive along the green. Over 40, and that's like if people are doing 41 and above, there's only about typically 18% go over 40. If I set it at 45, which is the ACPO, actually 48 is the ACPO limit, down to about 5. So, and we found this before.
Above 30.
I can rerun the reports again you on 30.
It would be good to see.
There are, as always, some extremes. So each week we have 60 and 70 plus mile an hours, but there's only one or two. But on average, there isn't a huge problem with speeding. We do have a problem with HGVs because, of course, that's got a permanent 7.5 tonne limit. The problem is at the moment there's a lot of harvest going on, so I think a lot of those are probably. So we'll wait till after harvest and then look at what the numbers are then. So I just thought it might be useful.
Yeah, thank you. Any other comments?
I suppose I should declare a non-pecuniary interest about the review speed limit across the ring.
Yes. Yeah, that's fair enough.
It's amazing how much it's costing, isn't it? Because presumably we would have to start that up. To get
It's a lot
it
for some new signs,
Exactly.
isn't it, when the poster's already there.
Yeah, yeah.
The real expense is the safety audit. Officer time to be involved.
And newspapers being
Yeah.
Yeah,
It's
yeah.
publication.
So they still have to go. It's basically the same process as being done for the weight limit on the 1040. It would have to be done regardless.
But presumably we could offer to pay quite a lot. I mean, if we were lucky, we could say we can afford it, or we couldn't afford it, depending on what happens with the 1040. Because that will use that lot of cost, isn't it?
Well, we've got £9,000 set aside for 1040.
Not sorry, set aside, but yeah.
That's a committed. We have it got
Yes, but if they,
liability of.
but if they say actually we're not going to take any further, we've got our 9,000 back, haven't we? Whatever reason.
Yes. Less anything.
You won't get it all back because they've done
Yeah, but I'm sorry.
the advertising and the process of the safety audit.
Well, what I'm saying is if we do say we'll go for the 30 mile per hour saloon, what sort of commitment if we find that we actually can't afford it at the time, because we're talking years hence, getting on for.
I don't know the answer to that question. I don't know whether, if we had it agreed, you could pull out by not having the money available. But
well, there was that list, wasn't there? We had the list last time when people were taken off the list. It didn't match what they said they were going to do.
that's true.
Can you use any of the easement money?
There is a project for that,
Yeah.
which I think we'll use it all.
But it really is that one on, I think, isn't it, really? Because Gravy Way is 30 now, isn't it?
Gravy Way's 30, top and bottom of the village are 30.
Yeah. It would make it consistent, wouldn't it?
Yep.
Just to give 1,500.
You would only be, you have to contribute a minimum of 10%.
Yeah, that's.
But the more you put in, the more you get.
Well, let's say then, my proposal would be that we go for the green, and if the cost is 4.5, we say we put in 2,000, 50%. And then if the cost is 10,000, we put 2,000.
Yes.
20%. And see, because like you say, there was a list, and at that point, we were able to say, we will give you more money, we will put more money in
Yeah.
for our thing, on the basis it looked like it was going to be successful.
I can't believe that the safety would be that complicated. I appreciate that they are necessary, but I mean, there's not like as much going on either side. And, yeah.
Yes. So, any
I
other
must admit, I've got to say that if I had the option of one or the other of these two proposals, I would tend to go for the one in relation to the Ford.
Okay.
Because I think at this time of year, yes, it does dry out, but as soon as water starts going over there again, it will very quickly return to its slippery state, unfortunately. And it is during the winter months when the poor cyclists come further. I know it's there, so I avoid it when I'm on my bike. But I do know people who have gone through and have come to grief. It's not going to go away.
Is it worse since it was resurfaced? I mean, it hasn't, well, we talked about 10 years ago, has it
Resurfaced.
well, it has been resurfaced, hasn't it? Yeah, sort of 10 years ago?
But that's after that, there was all the people.
Yes, well, but before, cast your mind back 20 years, has it always been slippery? Was it?
Well, no, but the surface was a lot rougher
Yes.
prior to,
Yeah.
hence more grip. Whereas the surface that's there now
Yes, sir.
has been smooth and will continue to be smooth. As time goes on, vehicles tend to smooth out road surfaces full stop. So it's only going to go in one direction. So I said I'm just sort of reminding the gathering that it is a pretty high priority in some people's minds, in my own.
Safety, I suppose, yeah.
Yeah.
It is safety, it's community, and both match those requirements for
Yeah.
the AHI bit. What would you propose would be done with it? Or
Well,
could be done?
I mean, I did make a proposal when the chap from County came round, and he told me that although it could probably be effective, it wouldn't be something they would do.
So that was my concern, is that they said the best they would do was put up signs, if I remember rightly. And they didn't
The
want...
original plan was to divert cyclists, and that was decided that that wasn't the best solution, and then you got the wrong side.
Just say the problem might just be revisited in the same manner.
In some villages, you know, in Napwell and things, there's kind of like a red road surface which makes cars slow down, and it's quite textured.
Yep.
And I just wonder whether that's something we could
You can
apply.
get like a non-slip road surface. I don't know how it would react to being underwater. For a good portion of the year.
Yeah, I think that's the problem.
What about if we put an LHI bit to reduce the speed limit across the green and improve the ford?
Yeah.
Because you could do that.
Yeah.
Yeah, put more money in.
Yeah.
Yes.
It's on the same road, isn't it?
It's on the same road, that was my thought.
Yeah, it's good.
Because that, and it does, both things meet community and they both meet that. So I'm going to propose that.
Nice.
Thank you, Sharon. Any other thoughts, comments? Because Sharon's seconded it, I'm going to vote that we submit an LHI bid for looking to reduce the speed limit across the green from 40 to 30 miles per hour and to request improvements to be made to the surface of the ford, the road through the ford. Would be the answer. And that at this stage we commit from, we offer up £2,000 from Parish Council funds because that against a 10% requirement for an LHI bid.
Okay.
Yep, yep.
Sharon seconded that. All those in favour? Thank you. Right, next item on the agenda is to discuss and decide actions upon regarding the matter of the burial space in the churchyard. Okay, so I alluded to this earlier. If I could get did receive a letter from Reverend Busk regarding the churchyard, and as John kindly alluded to earlier, the feeling was that there's probably, in about 10 years' time, there may be a requirement for, or the, put it bluntly, the churchyard will fill up. So, there are implications, potential implications for the Parish Council should that become the case, that the Parish Council would have to take over responsibility for the churchyard as a closed churchyard.
Parish Council gets first dibs. You don't have to take responsibility. The district has to if you say no.
Okay. And one of the issues surrounding that is any extension of any. If there would be a proposal for extension of the churchyard, that would go on to green open space, which would mean that it would have to be replaced as common land. So I thought it's about time we had a working group set up to look at this issue because it was only where it was 4 years ago. As a starter. And if there's 10 years ago, we should start looking at it. There is, and so I would like to propose that we start a working group on that. Thank you. Oh, John, I can't see your hand up, sorry.
Okay. Did David Busk tell you that he thought that the church side of the churchyard could probably started to be used again because of the age of the graves that are in there?
I don't think he did mention that.
So 17, wasn't it?
Yeah.
2017.
Does he? Okay, I'll take your word for it because I can't get the whole letter up at the moment.
But it's something worth discussing with him
Absolutely.
before you start considering external land.
Well, that's the idea of the work group is to look at all options, and if is it 100-year recycle?
I don't know, but if you think that where the cremations are being put now,
Yeah.
there are burials underneath the
Oh, yeah.
cremations.
Yeah. Because they're not as deep as a full burial.
Correct.
Yes, you mentioned that. So, yes, it's time we had a proper and sensible discussion with the parochial church council and the vicar regarding this matter.
So if you want your spot, book it now.
Thanks, John, for that. on that happy note, I've got a piece of paper. You can put your name on here. Sorry, I'm proposing that we start a working group. Graham seconded that. All those in favour? Say aye. Who would like to be on that working group? I put my name forward. Ian's put his name forward.
Yeah.
Anyone else?
Absolutely, right,
Graham?
but that'd be right.
Yeah. That'll do starters, won't it? Gets us going.
I will come on.
Is that a yes?
That's a yes.
Thank you. Sarah, thank you. And we will meet and we will discuss and we will get the information together and then explore.
Just one question.
Mhm.
Who owns the church wall? Is that who's responsible for maintaining that?
I don't know.
Church.
I've got a good
Church.
idea.
Oh, the
It's a
church.
but I couldn't say for certain.
Church paid for the renovation by Church End.
It is crumbling in a lot of places, isn't it?
The sound as well.
It's really quite bad. So, I mean, if we were going to look to extend the graveyard, then that might be a good opportunity to rebuild the wall. But I think it's listed, yeah.
Was the wall listed? Oh, right.
I would
Yeah, probably.
question
Yeah, yeah.
that before you could look at
Yeah.
any work.
I just thought.
Thank you. You know, we'll put it in the discussion because it will be, yeah, wake up one morning and find the wall is moved. Excellent, thank you. Item next one on the agenda is to discuss and decide upon installing a plaque at the agreed copse north of Rags Road to commemorate the Queen's Diamond Jubilee, and we agreed last meeting that we were going to put that copse when it's planted in the autumn, I guess.
Yep.
Yeah.
Late autumn,
Late autumn,
early winter.
early winter, beginning of January, when the ground's frozen. Ian's out there with a pickaxe. We're going to, and so the point of this agenda item was we want to put a plaque on there, I guess, and we should find out how much one costs and what one might look like. Is that? Yeah, that's what
You
I'm
want
saying.
to issue those instructions?
Is this because it's been suggested by the Queen that she'd like trees planted next year for the Jubilee? Is that the reason?
That's what we agreed last meeting.
I think it's being called the Queen's Green Canopy.
Thank you. I saw that today and I thought, what's that all about? But I do know, because I looked it up. But I couldn't remember just now what it's called. So yes, the Queen has requested that. We at our last meeting proposed that the copse that was going to be planted could be called the Queen's Diamond Jubilee copse, or something along those words, or planted in commemoration of, or planted because we wanted to plant it for that purpose. So we need to have a look at a plaque, we need to look at the size of it, and I would propose that that goes to the Green Open Spaces Committee working group, and they can come up with a design and a costing for it, and bring that back to Parish Council. Because if the copse is going to be planted in the autumn, stroke winter, when would you put your plaque up? You'd probably put your plaque up next year, during the Jubilee.
Quotes will need to be obtained by me, not
Okay, suggested and done by the working group with request to Nicola to get quotes. Once a design and all that's been agreed. So somewhere there was a proposal. The proposal was that this goes to the Green Open Spaces Committee to take forward and come back to the full Parish Council.
Yeah, I thought that's where you came to.
Any questions, any comments, any ideas? No? Anybody want to second that proposal?
Yeah.
Thank you. Anybody, all those in favour? Thank you. Right. So, the next one, to discuss and decide upon receiving a donation from the Hilton Wildlife Conservation Group to reinstall a branch near the Wilderness Bridge. Ian, I think you know more about this than I probably do. Is that correct?
Yeah, you're doing quite well then, though.
We've been, I can say we've been offered some money by what was the Hilton Wildlife and Conservation Group.
Right.
At the end of the funds that they had.
Yep.
And we'd like to put a bench back up on the wilderness.
That's right. One of the founder members of that group was Michael Way. And I do remember in his later years he did say that it would be nice to have a bench down there. He reckoned that once you get to become an octogenarian, then 300 metres is about the limit of what you want to walk before you can sit down. And he suggested if one was put down there, then that would give those who are a little bit older the opportunity to get round and see most of the village. So, I would very much like to see us take up that offer and put a bench down there.
I think it's a great idea because there was originally a bench there, wasn't there? There is, when I did the bench survey.
And just to fill in a few of the bits of info about this, most of the money that was held by that group came from just one source, and that was the sale of a number of paintings and drawings carried out by David Lovegrove. That raised, it was held in the pub, if memory serves me right, and that raised just over £1,000 at the time, which was brilliant.
Yeah.
So David was also a founder member of that group, and as you're aware, he passed away 18 months ago.
Yeah.
So again, bearing in mind that link, it would be very nice to recognise it with this bench.
Yeah. Can I just ask, when Red Star marks a spot, is that the green side of the road trees or the wilderness side of the road
I
trees?
can't remember where the original one
I
was.
think it's the
This
green
side.
side. Yeah.
Yeah, fine, that's right. I just
Good.
So it was sort of facing almost the
Yeah.
football field.
Yeah.
Well,
Luke King built that. Luke King made it.
Did he?
Yeah.
Right.
And then it got destroyed.
Yeah. Well, I can imagine that's where it would be, but I didn't know for sure, so thanks for confirming that.
So there's the proposal.
Just to
Yes,
I do have a spare bench I'd love to get rid of.
There's not a lot of people that say that.
No,
I've got a
it's
spare
a
bench.
Hilton Parish Council bench that is waiting for a home. Painted, ready to go. And we paid for the woods to repair it.
Mhm.
Because there were two in the playground, and now there's only one, which is quite adequate. So,
However, that then doesn't acknowledge the sense of where this bench is coming from.
we're buying this bench.
No, we're not.
No, we're not.
there you go.
Hilton Wildlife Conservation Group monies will be buying it.
They are donating the balance of the money that they've got,
It's-
which is 500.
It's being donated on the understanding that it is used for that purpose. It is not a general gift.
We spent, £750 for the new wood for that bench.
Yes, yeah, for the second bench at the
Yeah.
playground.
Yeah, so I mean, we have.
There is an additional bench currently missing to the side of the pavilion, the road side
Okay.
of the pavilion.
Right.
So it could potentially be
Yeah,
raised
yeah,
up.
good sense.
Yeah. I think it would be nice to have a brand new bench personally, because I realise that bench has been repaired, but actually I think as the Hilton Wildlife Group have kindly donated this, I think it would be really nice. brand new bench.
I think the sentiment is brilliant. I can remember, sadly it never happened at the time, but David was going to come along to Free Street when I was there, and he was going to do some painting on the stage, but hung upside down. He was going to be hung upside down, and he was going to do some painting, paint some pictures. So so I have a great memory of David. And,
Right.
so I propose that Hilton Parish Council receives the donation of £500 from the Hilton Wildlife and Conservation Group and uses that money to purchase and reinstall a bench near the Wilderness Bridge under the guidance of Ian.
So we would be responsible for the type of bench. Or,
What do you reckon, Ian? Or you made a couple of suggestions, haven't you?
well, there's quite a few
3 suggestions.
Those suggestions didn't come from me, and I just got you some quotes so that you could
Yes,
have
yes.
some
I do.
discussion.
If you wanted to get a bench to match the ones that are around the maze, that's
No more expensive.
Kensington, 1.8
There's a similar
metres.
style here though, isn't there, to the
Yeah.
other
Yeah.
benches? The straight back ones are similar style.
Or the Henley with the curved back.
well, because I think the green open spaces normally have exciting ideas about these.
I was going to say, should we put the...
All right, we'll accept the money. Green Open Spaces can have a look at the bench style and meld it in with what's
What's the district?
That's
what I
out
was
there.
going to suggest.
Good, okay.
under the guidance of Ian. And please could you extend our thanks to the Hilton Wildlife and Conservation Group
Dare I
for the
ask,
donation. Or
I'm
nip-
going to have a plaque on it, just so it's been donated by the Hilton Wildlife and Conservation in memory of David Lowbray.
that I don't know.
That would be quite nice.
If that could be part of the discussion.
Yeah, that'd be a kind of discussion, I think it's best way of putting it. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. It doesn't have to be that long worded, but
No.
it's
10 pence a word.
Yes.
10 pence a letter. Might go on forever.
yeah.
Be all along. Yeah, anyway.
That's super.
Did we vote on
Not yet,
No.
no. Can I just add there again that ask the clerk to obtain quotes?
that? You have obtained quotes.
For the flag.
They're there. Oh, for the flag, yeah, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And any spend to be made by the clerks in order to guarantee issues are within the control of the parish council. Any purchases to be made by the clerk so that any VAT issues are within your control so that we make sure that the invoice is addressed correctly and we get the VAT back. So I believe the proposal is that we accept the donation and ask the Green Open Spaces Group to look at the type of bench and to consider wording on a plaque to obtain quotes via the clerk for such a plaque and come back to Parish Council.
You also had in there about thanking.
Oh, yes, I was going to make that a separate
Okay.
because otherwise it would
It's
like
very
the
long.
plaque goes all the way along the top of the minutes. So that's proposal number 1. Seconded by Sharon. All those in favour? Thank you. Proposal number 2 is that we ask Nicholas to thank the Hilton Wildlife and Conservation Group on behalf of the Parish Council for their very kind donation. Seconded by Graham. All those in favour? Thank you. Good.
I'll also try and find out exactly how much the money is.
Yes. Yes.
It's just something quick.
Because if I just accepted a donation of
Yeah.
more than they...
Would you like to amend your proposal?
No, not really.
Approximately
It'll come back.
£500.
Yeah, approximately.
Approximately, yes, thank you. I know who's got the bank account information, so yeah, I will do that.
The next item on the agenda is to consider and decide upon any actions with regards to improving the surface of the path from Church Lane to the church. The photos included in your supporting documents and notes that the path is the responsibility of the Parish Council because it goes across our land. It is an asphalt path that has deteriorated. A14C2H, Cambridge to Huntington, thank you very much, have advised that they do not have any equipment in the area to resurface this path. and Cambridge County Council advise that they do not have any obligation to resurface this path. And I'm sure everybody will know what condition the path is, and it's on the way to the church.
It's not good.
So, I think, what was I thinking about this one?
Green open spaces.
That was the words I was looking for. I thought it was, because we have to look at the fact that it's an asphalt path at the moment, and how, and all that sort of thing. And quotes will have to be obtained to repair it in whatever way is.
Well, it's tricky because it's out of keeping with what's there, isn't it?
Well, I have to say, I think it will, personally, I would like it to be kept as in that material, because for disabled people, trying to get a wheelchair through gravel is just a nightmare.
Yeah.
And there's no other easy access to the church otherwise.
And the path through the churchyard is metalled as
Yeah.
such.
Yeah, it's done. It's nice and tarmac, isn't it?
Yes.
Yeah.
It's sort of resin and gravel.
Oh,
so
yes, sorry.
Isn't it?
It's
It's a different
surface.
surface.
Yeah. So we need to, I think, investigate that, look at the option of making that a resin surface or a metal surface or a wood bark surface or something.
Definitely not gravel.
So I propose that this goes to Green Open Spaces for further investigation and report back.
Do you want quotes before it's reported back?
Yes, because they want to come back with a full picture of what's being proposed, with the clerk to obtain quotes,
Thank you.
as instructed by the Green Open Spaces group.
Okay, yeah.
Is that a second?
Yeah, that's okay.
Thank you. All those in favour?
Everybody.
Good. Next item is to approve and adopt the draft action plan, which you all had a sign of. I was at a meeting where this was gone through line by line and agreed. So if anybody has any queries about it, please raise them now. Otherwise, I will propose that the action plan for 2021 to 2022 is adopted. Sharon seconded that just before the moth landed in, but it's on the curtain now, it's not on the television. So it might have just gone up there. Is everybody happy? Yeah. Sharon's seconded that. All those in favour? Good stuff. Turn the page. To discuss and decide upon any actions with regard to the UK Civil Aviation Authority public evidence session to the airspace change proposal regarding Sandwick airspace, as you will improve a programme affecting arrivals into London Luton Airport. You will remember that I attended a couple of online consultation meetings, that we objected to the proposed stack above Huntingdon because it means that air traffic will come down the A14 corridor, and they're not there before. We'll join that stack, not there before. We'll fly out of that stack, not there before. And that it flies over an existing noisy dual carriageway, and it was at 8,000 feet, and I think they came back and said they were going to put it up by 1,000 feet. We wrote to our MP, objected to it on behalf of councils within his parish, within his constituency. We have written to our MP asking what his views are regarding this, and we haven't to receive a reply yet. You got it today? Well, the last time I saw it, it wasn't there. Anyway, all right, then I'm going to read this out because I don't know what it says. Thank you for your email about the LLA and NATS airspace change consultation. Please accept my sincere apologies for the delay in replying. Since LLA and NATS have provided their response to the consultation, I have been approached by one other parish council and 5 constituents. However, I do not necessarily believe that this is because all those who contacted me at the start of the process have necessarily changed their views on this proposal. I recently met for a second time with reps from London Luton Airport and NATS to discuss the responses to the consultation received from my constituents. They provided a detailed explanation as to why The current 2 holds cannot be separated to provide 1 hold each for London Luton and London Stansted, and how the flight paths from airports in the region limit where the new hold can be located. There was the more basic issue that I had raised with them about putting out a consultation with no option to retain the status quo. However, I've been advised that on certain days and times, flight arrivals are now at pre-pandemic levels. And it would therefore seem that it is not possible to either retain the status quo or delay the implementation given the safety implications. Having said that, the stack will only likely to be used at the busiest times of the day, at the busiest times of the year. I acknowledge Parish Council's consideration of a sound monitoring programme, but my understanding is that above 8,000 feet aircraft noise is not given the same priority when considering airspace change proposals. Of course, I do appreciate that any changes from the limited overhead flight situation that we currently enjoy is not going to be welcomed by anyone locally. I continue to monitor the situation closely and will consider any representations which may provide an opportunity for the decision to be called in by the Secretary of State for Transport. Okay, so there is a deadline for us to register to speak, which is the 22nd. No, there's a public evidence session on the 22nd of September. We've got to the 19th of September to register. I believe it was the 19th of September. So, at this public evidence session is an opportunity for stakeholders other than the change sponsor to provide, because this is with the Civil Aviation Authority, so part of their consultation programme. They've held their consultation meetings. They are taking it to the CAA. The CAA have said we're going to have a consultation meeting. We can register to speak. Would you like us to register to speak is the first thing. If you do want us to register to speak, what do you want us to speak about is the second thing. And the third thing, if you want us to register to speak and you can decide what we want to speak, who would you like to speak? Discuss.
Are we getting much of a mail back from parishioners?
No.
I don't think we received any.
We've had there were a couple at first
At the beginning,
that were interested. The most interested person was actually somebody looking to move into the village.
Yes.
Not a current parishioner.
Yeah.
But no, I haven't had any correspondence recently. And there have been posts made on both the website and Facebook regarding it.
I will say that, what day is the 22nd of September? So Wednesday, Tuesday.
Wednesday.
Tuesday.
Wednesday.
Wednesday, the 22nd of September. I will put a little proposal out that I am happy to register on behalf of Hilton Parish Council to speak at this, to say that we are disappointed that having been blighted by the new A14 Southern Bypass, these proposals potentially provide a further noise blight to the village. Because they have been through their proposals and feel that by raising it 1,000 feet we will not be affected by traffic, but I think we shouldn't just lay down, let them accept that. I think we should at least have a voice to say that we're not happy. So there's a thought.
On the previous occasions when you spoke, did you get any feeling as to whether it was just being received by deaf ears or whether there was genuine interest in what you were having to say?
So the whole consultation did not have an option that said, I object. The consultation said, did you prefer option 1 or option 2?
Right.
Or this option? What made you think that this option was better than the other option? Which is what our MP was alluding to there, that there was nothing in the consultation that said, we object. So I made comment at the meetings that I attended that we were not happy with the fact that air traffic will come in along the A14 corridor, either south of Cambridge or from Newmarket, along the A14 corridor to this new stack that's over Huntingdon and the villages around that, but not Hilton.
No.
And then it would descend, I guess, over the packs, the offers, down towards Luton. And what happened, as far as I can see, is that there were a number of local parishes that were involved in those discussions who were unhappy with it. And I think that they did listen to what people said and came back and said, we'll raise it 5,000. But I'll refer to my earlier comment, which was there were no options to say we object to it. So I would be quite happy to go on and say a similar thing. Because, as somebody said, there was an MP, not our MP, but another MP down Bedfordshire way, who said, why is it that people in his constituency had to suffer for the benefit of Luton? Because Luton Borough Council would be a beneficiary to expansion at Luton Airport, because they charge rent and all that sort of thing. But of course there is no way they'll pay any compensation out to other affected parishes. So all these people that are in the flight path have noise inflicted on them for the benefit of, and especially in an area where there isn't a flight path.
When we've complained about other major developments.
Sorry?
I'm just thinking about experience when we've complained about other developments in the area that need the noise. There can be many years of meetings and nothing actually achieved. So
Yes, but this is one
what we
meeting.
achieve in this case.
This is one meeting, and the only thing that we'll achieve by attending or speaking at this meeting is to make sure that our voice is heard by the Civil Aviation Authority. Because at the moment it's only been heard by the, can't remember what they're called now, the people who did the consultation for Luton Airport, the interested party, if you like.
Okay.
So why not speak to say that? So I'll put that out, and unless of course anybody else has got a burning desire to do that.
No, you crack on, thank you. No, I think we absolutely need to
It's
voice our
just,
concern.
and we can thank Mr. Ginobili for his letter, and I think we'll tell him. That's what we're going to do. So, two proposals. One is that we'll register to do it, and I'll do it, and along those lines of voicing our concerns of Hilton that we're going to be affected by a new flight path that will cause noise disturbance. And the second thing so that's proposal one. Seconded by Sharon. All those in favour? Thank you. Proposal two is that we write to our MP and advise him that's what we do. Seconded by Sharon. All those in favour? Thank you. That's it. Excellent. And of course, I will feed back and let you know
Thank you.
that it's been moved and changed, because at the minute we're on a roll in getting decisions going our way. Right, 21, 22, 86, to discuss and decide upon the actions for the call for volunteers for the community quitting scheme. Nicola, this is addressed to Dear Parish Clerk. Would you like to tell us all about it?
So this is one that you've entered into every year. The volunteers that previously registered have to register again, so what you've done in the past is put publicity out, and I would also contact the volunteers from the previous year and ask them if they would like to re-register.
Sounds fair enough.
Thank you. So, proposal is that we ask Clerk to coordinate this community quitting scheme along the lines that she just outlined.
So, yes, yeah.
Sharon's got a hand up. Second, that's quick. All those in favour? Right, move on. Thank you. The next is to receive the report regarding the Living Support Grant and decide upon the statement from the Parish Council for the monitoring and evaluation report. Have you made a statement?
There's a draft statement in the draft report letter is in Dropbox.
So, oh, I see. This is the statement with the photograph underneath.
Yes.
Right.
So
Okay.
it says the parish council is.
Okay. So the first bit on that is that the living grant, support grant, was applied for, was received, and that slight overspend that you should be aware of as parish councils, £93.65, as the croquet sets did not include VAT. It was thought that they would include VAT, but they didn't, so that's fine. I believe well used.
Yeah.
Yeah. Friday evening I was in someone's garden and there was lots of activity out on the green. I thought it was rounders, but I could be wrong.
It is, yeah.
It was
It's
rounders.
a bit of everything on
There's
the.
croquet and balls, and
Very good.
it's really good. You know, there's more and more people coming.
Brilliant.
aren't
Very, very good.
there?
So that's the financial report, really. It was a slight overspend. There is a detailed financial report that says how much your balls and croquet and rounders and tai chi and all rounders classes cost, and the grant amount, and then it shows a £93.65 net extra spend, so that's good. And then living sport require a monitoring and evaluation report as part of the grant process. Councillor Heather Chambers has drafted a report which is in your so it's a nice statement. It's got some pictures of the people taking part in. I was going to say, normally the title's under the photo, isn't it? So the first one I look and see, I thought, that's not rounders, but that's Tai Chi, and rounders is underneath it. I think the statement's fine. I don't know if anybody's got any comments.
It should be is delighted because the council's a singular.
Well, indeed, Hilton Parish Council is delighted. Are delighted? Is delighted.
Yes. So this is just a statement that we are required to make,
Yes. When you
just to basically show that we've had the money and we've used it.
yeah, it's feedback to the
Monitoring and evaluation.
Which they put into their, whatever, yeah.
yeah.
Do we need permission for these photographs, presumably not, do we? Because they're not
Yeah.
children.
Heather's obtained permission from all the people that have been photographed.
Fantastic. Very good. So, the proposal is that we, oh, and just so you know as well, there was a funny old invoice come in the other day for a fitness class.
I've established that that is not the responsibility of the parish council. It will be credited and invoiced correctly.
Fabulous, thank you very much. Not sure what happened there, but it came in for them. So, there you go. What's it? It says receive the report, which we've received, and decide upon the statement. I propose that we accept the statement. Sharon's getting much. Sharon seconded it. All those in favour? Thank you very much. Next up is the Parish Council has membership of the Society of Local Council Clerks, SLCC. We are a member of that and have been for a few years, and it provides good guidance when we need to know what's going on in the world of local government, local council clerks, and the renewal is £166. I am ignorant, I am sorry to say, of what it was last year.
I can answer that with you in a moment.
It's a bit more too late. Should have thought about that. I suppose if I looked in the financial statements, I would be able to find it.
£126 last year. The reason it's gone up so much is that it's based on the clerk's salary.
Oh.
So we've now gone into the next bracket.
Thanks.
Oh, okay, yeah. So if your clerk earns X, your membership fee is Y.
Yeah.
Okie dokie. Right, well, I propose we renew the membership at £166.
Okay. I'll second that.
Thank you. All those in favour? Thank you. Right, the next item on the agenda is to, I just have to check because last month I got told off for jumping a couple of items, to consider the request for a defibrillator on the cricket pavilion, cost approximately £1,500. So this has been proposed by a councillor, and as we've been advised that there was a grant applied for the last time when the defibrillator was put on the public wall of the pub. The parish council held a consultation meeting around that time for the defibrillator, and there was support proffered by 4 parishioners that was a wise spend of the parish council's precept at that time. So, discuss.
I think the reason why it was put on the, well, I don't know, the reason why it was on the Prince of Wales was because it's in the centre of the village, isn't it? Now, I understand the logic behind this, that if you've got a big group activity, it's generally featured around the cricket pavilion. But how many times do we have big group activities?
Every Friday at the moment.
Well, you're still only half a mile from the Prince of Wales, aren't you? Which I would have thought was quite a good ratio.
I have to say, I think I voiced concerns about the original one being on the Prince of Wales, because if somebody collapsed on the green, which is where most village events happen, or in the village hall, you know, you're not going to save somebody by running to the pub to get the defib. So, you know, my thoughts would be to have one this side of the village would be a really good idea. Whether it goes on the pavilion or maybe the village hall, I don't know, that's up for debate, isn't it? The pavilion would seem a good place because of the sports field, so...
Can I bring in peacefully? Is it ever something you've discussed?
Seems quite a lot to have 2 in such a small village. But whether, like you say, the location of the existing one is the right one, but if that was the decision where it's made, where it was put, you can't change it, can you now? I'm assuming.
You can change it.
You could change
It's
it.
not the parish council's defibrillator.
That's true.
Oh, right.
Good point.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'll come to you in a minute, Andy. I just want to...
So we can't move the original one? No.
Well, it's not the
Could be
parish
a
council.
No.
Yes.
I would... Yeah, okay. Andy, you had to...
Yeah, as I'm on the AED Management Committee, I can say that all the requests and the times that the DEEP has been taken from its box have not been for the green, they've been actually from north of Potton Road. West of Potton Road.
Thank you.
There have been individuals, people that have the ambulance services asked them to go and get the defib because it might be needed, and the times that it has been taken have been west of Potton Road. But that's just the background stats. And you're right, we did quite a detailed survey to look where the central part of the village was. Where is the place that the average person will quickly be able to get to it from all the villages and all the houses, and that's why it was chosen to be there.
I'm going to ask a question, Andy. How many times has it been removed from its box? Do you know?
I think it's only about 3, if I remember rightly.
Thank you. So,
I'm happy with where it is, and one for the, I think half-mile radius is good. And that's not ideal for everybody, but I think it's good,
I mean, if
sufficient.
could we get a grant, apply for a grant for this?
well, the grants aren't open at the moment.
No. So could we put it on hold until the grants are open? Interesting to know if any other villages do have 2. Because quite often you see, you know, one on a pub and then one on I think Somerset had one at Tesco. and one further up,
Mm.
because it's quite a spread out villages.
Is it worthwhile consulting with someone like the British Heart Foundation as to what their suggested density of usage, or sorry, of placement is?
Mm.
It's also finding the volunteers to look after, isn't it? The servicing needs to be maintained, otherwise it's
You have to have 10.
it needs to be a good condition.
But I think that probably you would get 10 if there was a desire for it. I still go back to the fact that when we looked at a reason why the existing defibrillator is not a parish council defibrillator is that the parish council held consultation on the desired need for a defibrillator in the village, and 4 people said yes.
You can get the response we assumed, do we?
No. And therefore, can we say we have got the support to, I've got to be so careful what I say, spend another £1,500 or spend £1,500 on a defibrillator in the village that will supplement the one that's in there at the moment. And I would propose that you don't.
I would second that.
I really think that they're a nice decoration. And
Especially-
every village has got one, and
Every
don't the
village,
defibrillator companies that manufacture them think that's brilliant.
Mm.
And we do have one in the village already. We've heard that every time it's been used by people, not down here, but over there, and in the number of years it's been up, it has been used 3 times. So my proposal would be that we don't. My suggestion would be that we don't. In fact, I would propose that because Graham's
And I seconded it.
seconded it.
You carry on talking.
So all those in favour of not taking this forward? 3, 4. All those in favour of taking it forward? And all those abstaining?
I'll just abstain.
Thank you. Thank you very much. The next item on the agenda is to consider the request to delegate to the clerk to apply for grants without prior approval from the council. Again, we have got, I think, yeah. So this is a request to apply for grants. My views on it, thoughts are on it that as parish council we should apply for a grant when a project identifies the need for a grant and there is a specific project. So the grant is applied for a specific project rather than saying, oh, there's a grant, let's apply for it.
Yeah.
Because it just will create more time on the clerk, and we're all aware that we don't want to put the clerk's hours up anymore.
But these project led, shouldn't
Thank you, that was what I was trying to say. Grant application should be project-led.
they?
You have a project, you look at how it's going to be funded, you say, there's a grant, let's apply for it.
As opposed to, I've just seen the project, sorry, some
I've just seen some money floating.
Can we use it?
Yeah, can we get?
So
So,
it doesn't seem quite right, it's quite a bit, doesn't it? And I would be reluctant to let the clerk apply for grants as she sees, or as the clerk sees fit, which is basically what's being said, isn't it?
it's, yes, to delegate to the clerk to apply for any grants without prior approval from the council. So I propose that we do not agree that resolution.
I would second that.
All those in favour? All against? Abstaining?
Yeah.
Thank you. Right. To consider the request from the Community Garden Group for 12 easements per year to allow vehicular access to the community garden. So, because it's common ground, we have to agree that, or we have agreed, in fact, oh, that's interesting. I thought I'd agreed that under my own, outside of my authority. So when Nicola was away, I had a request come in asking for an agreement for a delivery of soil to be made to the community garden. And I said yes, because we had already agreed that before, and so the Community Garden Group was saying, can they have a request to have to 12 easements per year to allow vehicular access to the community garden. I understand there is no vehicular access into the community garden. It would mean that cars park on the wilderness. And I will... sorry. Just please discuss it.
It's, yeah.
I think that's quite reasonable. I mean, there is a track, isn't there, which the farmer uses. So, and somebody was driving up there with a kind of combat kind of vehicle.
That was me.
Oh, sorry.
We had an easement granted for that. It was for the laying and delivery of the equipment for the path. It was my car transporting a whacker plate to carry it down. So.
Yeah, so I mean, I think it's quite reasonable. It's
Yes.
the community garden is
It's going great guns, isn't it?
Yeah, it's a
Well,
wonderful
okay.
achievement. So I think.
I was talking to a chap at the golf, the Finsbury Golf Day in Woodstock. So my thoughts were yes, with an art request that the vehicles stick to the path.
Surely it's unworkable, isn't it? You can't have 12 easements a year. How do you monitor it?
We asked the community garden to tell us. Community garden groups tell us, that's all. Yeah, but it's like many things in life you can't monitor.
So therefore, as and when, you phone you up. I mean, you said you agreed to a delivery of soil.
I did.
So fine.
Not within my
But
remit.
12, it seems it's sort of, I don't see how it could possibly be monitored.
But if you think
Farmers were right.
that's like once a month, then
Yes, exactly. How do you monitor it? How do you know if they've had their month's worth and therefore there's no more damage for the
You
Is that
just
it?
ask them to report every 3 months how many times they've used
I
it.
think we have to trust them really. They're not
At the moment, there's no easement for the farmer, is that right? No official easement for the farmer?
There's a prescribed right.
No easement.
No legal document, and they're not asking for a legal document on
Yes,
that.
but you effectively you're giving somebody else increased rights?
But you're setting out that it's 12, I think.
I mean,
Yeah, I know.
it's unworkable.
I think we should suck it and see, and say yes, and report back every 3 months how many times you've used it, and please stick to the paths. And it's a difficult one, because I was going to say, please stick to the roadway, but don't obstruct agricultural vehicles using that.
I think this is commendable because this is all voluntary work, isn't it? And actually, you know, we need to encourage that in the village. So to make life easier for them if they need, you know, I don't know,
Compost,
a whacker plate or
removal
something.
of
Whack
weeds.
play, compost, mud.
And I see you know, Claire pushing her wheelbarrow up with all of her tools in and things, you know. So it's, people do obviously, you know, walk up to work in the garden. It's just probably for deliveries, isn't it?
Yeah.
Is it too much hassle just to ring and ask to do it like they did this way though, rather than, so it's sort of more of a short notice and you know what's going on?
What patient? Did you just say you don't have it under your...
I didn't have authority to do it apparently,
Oh, right,
but I
okay.
did, because I thought this is a community garden group. Nicola's on holiday, we haven't got a meeting coming up, it's not costing the parish council any money, it's not offending anybody, it might have offended anybody, but you know, sometimes you have to do these things, don't you? So an alternative would be that you ask them to phone whenever they're used and leave a message with Nicola that they're doing it.
Is that a bit...
Personally,
It's like Big Brother, isn't it? I think, you know, most of the garden is set up now, isn't it? So I don't think there's going to be a lot of heavy, you know, vehicles needed up there. So I don't know. It just seems a bit pedantic asking them to ring somebody every time they need to have a delivery. And, you know, if they're relying on companies like Banolds delivering something, I don't know, free of charge, or it's going to be quite difficult to be prescriptive on a time and delivery slot, isn't it?
Ian, any thoughts?
I mean, from my point of view, I really question whether easements are required to get on and deliver. I'm sorry.
No, that's fine, because I'm going to put a proposal out that can be voted on, and it can be approved or not, can't it?
Right.
Any comments, Sarah? Right, okay, so the proposal is that we agree to the request from the Community Garden Group for up to 12 easements per year to allow vehicular access to the community garden on the proviso that, one, they keep the vehicles on the track, not on the wilderness, and two, that they submit a 6-monthly report advising how many times they've used it. Sharon seconding that? All those in favour of that proposal? 3.
Test the water.
All those against? 1. Abstaining? 1. Okay. And probably put in the proviso that it to be reviewed.
Very much so.
Fine. To consider and decide upon the request for a grant to the Community Garden Group of £95. I was trying to work insurance. For insurance, but I thought the insurance cost was 190 quid.
If they get it 95, all right.
Join for free, £175 for insurance was what I was reading.
Yeah, but that's just to do, isn't it? I mean, presumably they found the insurance £25. They're not been asking us to insure it.
No, they're asking for a donation to the Garden Community Group for £95 for insurance. Oh, it says here 90 quid.
There's an RHS one, wasn't there?
Yeah,
for
90.
90.
No, oh yeah, oh I see. 90 in 2021 and £95 assuming an increase for 2022. So, any comments?
Is the allotment insured, Ian? Do you pay? I think you're far more risk down there, aren't you? Oh yeah.
I wondered whether this was a 50% grant to the cost of insurance. You know, there's different ways of interpreting the information we had, and that was one that I just wondered.
I interpreted the bank account and thought, blimey.
But are we?
Well,
do
exactly.
we need to go into that history or a detail?
No, I'm just asking what you think and what we'd like to do. Given that until this day, in the 8 years since 2013, the Parish Council has made one grant annually of £60 to the British Legion. Is that okay? That was just a thought.
I didn't see it as an annual thing, I must admit.
Well, the grant application says, gives us good reasons why we do it, and it says the purpose of the grant application is to fund the insurance for the garden for 2022.
Yeah.
So it doesn't say it's an annual one.
No, I don't see us doing it annually. At best, I would say, yeah, for this year, to see how it gets going.
Yeah.
So
So
I'm not entirely sure how much the membership is. I know how many people turn up on Saturday because I've read that bit, but I don't know what the actual membership is.
yeah.
So it's early days.
Yes.
So at best, I was thinking, yeah, okay for a year, but I'm not going
Yeah,
to.
I was thinking that we should agree to make this grant for this on the basis of this application. And the application is to cover the insurance quote for 2022. Yeah?
Yeah, we can review it if we get another request in a year's time, but I agree.
It is the, outside of Feast Week, it's the biggest community group in the village at the moment, isn't it? I think. So yes, so I propose that we agree to the grant request of £95 from Hilton Community Garden Group. Sharon, second. All in favour? That's everything. I should have just gone straight down. Saved a lot of time. Right, in that case, I propose that we agree the donation request of £60 from the British Legion, as detailed in item 212293. Sharon seconding it. All those in favour?
So are you £60 again?
Yes. He says yes. The next request is to install 2 plaques on a WI bench, cost £70. And there's an email from the president of the WI. Oh, that's a big bench. Is that why this wants 2 plaques?
So this is the replacement bench for the original WI bench
Yeah.
that was not safe just for public use. And then we removed the original plaque, which was going to go back on, but actually with an additional plaque to say kindly donated by the Hilton Town Trust in 2021. And of course the old WI plaque looks a bit old now, so if they're going to have a new plaque to say kindly donated by the Hilton Town Trust, then it would be better to have 2 new plaques.
Okay, because the thing says, ask the parish council funds the cost of engraving at least 1 plaque. Preferably both of them at a cost of £35 each.
That's a strange thing. The town trust often ask us to do that sort of thing.
No, it's the WI have asked us.
No, the town trust, it suggests the town trust are thanked for it. But it's not the town trust that asks them to be thanked.
No, it's the WI who is, from my reading, it's the WI proposing that 2 plaques go on, one saying donated by WI and the other one saying well done town trust, I think. Was about it, was it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
You want it.
We don't want it.
I'm just thinking that we're paying for someone else's plaques, is it strange?
Indeed. However, I don't know what you think.
Well, I'm not happy.
No? Okay. Any other comments?
I think the bench has been replaced. You know, the parish council haven't had that outlay to replace that bench, which was not fit. You know, it was taken down, wasn't it, because it wasn't safe. So the town trust have paid £700 for that new bench. So actually, it seems kind of a small amount to me. I personally think it's a small amount.
Yeah.
And the parish council haven't had to replace the bench, so it's compared to £700,
Big bench.
10%.
Huge bench. Well, looks the picture anyway.
It is. Big.
Is it bigger than what was there?
Yes.
Oh, really?
Yeah, this is a Cambs.
Oh. Did we agree that? That it would be bigger than what was there?
It's supposed to be like replacement.
Was it? Oh, I could put a cat amongst the pigeons then, couldn't I?
You could do.
I don't suppose I better
It's
have
social distancing, so there's not people to sit one each end.
Social
and,
distancing.
they can sit in the middle.
If it was cutting half there, we could have one half there and another half up in the wilderness, couldn't we? Oh,
Some
anyway.
bricks at one end.
Oh, well, that'll be a point for the parish council in future, that if benches are proposed, that we do insist that they're like for like, rather than something that isn't like for like. But that's an aside. And then the proposal is whether or not the parish council agree to request for a donation to install 2 plugs on the WI bench. Cost £70. All those in favour say aye or raise your hand. Oh, sorry, that's got to be seconded, that proposal. Sharon seconded. All those in favour say yes. All those against?
Sorry, I'll say yes.
Right, okay. Against? And that's nobody abstaining. Right. To consider and decide upon the request to use the area of green around the village hall for booking in August 2022. So, you will see that we've had an email saying that somebody has booked the village hall in August 2022 to celebrate the wedding. and they would like to spend a small amount of the day outside on the land left of the village hall. We'd like to exchange a few words, have a couple of secular readings and exchange readings outside a small wedding party of 50, 60 guests, no longer than 30 minutes, and then I guess it's abstain or adjourn, not abstain, adjourn back indoors for much merriment. Very nice they've asked.
Obviously, why
It's
they
been
asked.
done before, hasn't it? We've had, well, Graham Gribben's wedding was.
Was it? I really don't know. So that's a request. Any comments?
There's no structures, are there, being proposed?
No. Not in that area, isn't
Do
it?
you think they'll just put chairs out or something? It's obviously they're exchanging their vows there, are they? They're just chairs or something?
Well, they just say they're going to spend a small
bit, but really, you need to have a place with a licence to exchange your vows.
Oh no, we are now legally married.
Yeah,
Is it? Right.
yeah. I think it's just
It's the fact that under the
little
pandemic,
private commitment.
yeah, and I think it's the fact that under the pandemic they rearranged their wedding a number of times.
Yeah,
They got married, and now they actually want to celebrate it with people.
yeah.
Yeah, I think that's
just-
reasonable.
Worry about giving them permission. I'm just wondering, could we not just say that you wouldn't need permission for people to meet on the green?
I favour that approach.
Yeah.
Okay.
So
So
thanks,
the
thanks for letting us know.
Precedent, haven't you?
Yeah.
of-
If you
Yeah,
say-
you're right,
Yeah,
actually.
just say, thanks very much.
Yeah.
A group of people meeting on the green does not need permission. It's
I
not-
propose what he said.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's it.
All those in favour? Thank you very much.
No, well voiced, Graham.
Yes, good point, well made.
Third time.
To consider and decide upon... Right, next item is to consider and decide upon any actions following the report that dog owners are utilising private bins along Ranks Road. So this is the disturbing news that when homeowners down Ranks Road have their bins out, their wheelie bins out for collection days, dog owners are depositing their dogs' doings in their bins rather than using the bins on that are around the green.
I've read in a right road.
Yeah, which means that if your green bin's gone out, has been emptied, you haven't quite put it away yet, and somebody lobs the dog's doings in it, it's there for 2 weeks and stinks. So,
What are we supposed to do?
I think what we have to do is that we have to put a notice on in Spectrum, a notice on the website, and a notice on the what's the other one? The Facebook page saying, please don't do this.
Yeah.
And also, do you include in there that to ask dog owners to pick up their
Absolutely.
dog
Yeah.
food? Because I've noticed there's been an increase in the village.
Oh, and I would like to propose that that part there is agreed so that Nicola can repeat that statement at times necessary. It doesn't have to come to the Parish Council to get an agreement to put it in Spectrum or on the website or in there. Because why do we have to decide that? Let's just do it.
What is the fine at the time? Is it £1,000?
Potentially, we would have to put the dog, the district council's enforcement officer out there. It's not something that I could enforce.
It'd be pretty good, really.
So that's the proposal. I can recap it if you like, that we advertise, we put a notice in Spectrum website, even on the notice boards.
What
Hey,
what would I just say? Please use bins provided.
yeah, please use the bins provided. Please do not use homeowners' private bins.
Just,
Would you like your our dog's crap in your bin? But you can't say that.
just on the subject of this, some villages have specific bins for dog food to go in, which I believe are like red bins, aren't they?
I have no idea. Sorry, it's a different world.
I don't believe the district council will collect those.
Um,
We'd have to look into it.
Generally, it's just-
So please use the bins that are provided, don't use homeowners'
Yes.
bins.
Yeah.
What happened to there was a bin near the old post office, wasn't there? That's was knocked down.
It's knocked down, and
And it's
I'm
not-
struggling to get the district to respond to me.
Oh, right, okay.
When
So that
they-
is something.
It's,
Oh, okay.
yeah, it's one
Yeah.
that's stayed on my list, and I'm still waiting for the district to advise when they will be installed.
Oh, okay.
It was murdered by a lorry.
What was it?
It was garbage.
It seems ridiculous. How long is that? That must be
Yes.
Finding of.
You know, the pumpkin
Oh,
station,
no,
not
no.
a usage.
near the park.
Oh, by the pumping station.
Yes,
Yeah, okay.
just the far end of that row there.
You
Right.
need a dog, because then there's no one there.
Now, do you know, Sharon?
Sorry.
Don't need to talk. Thank you.
How often would this notice go out? I mean, it just seems,
I've just put as required.
As well.
I just think that we're pretty good, really.
I don't. No, I think that's the point. That we like to think we are, but I don't think we are as good as we
I
think.
don't watch where I walk.
You have to watch Cross Farm close at the moment. I recommend there's a great big pile of horse crap up there,
Oh, well, is it
deposited this evening.
Yeah. Why rather the other end?
But that's not a dog, I appreciate
Yeah,
it. This is
must get
a
that.
huge dog. And if you're walking in the dark, be careful. So that's and it just allows across the green and pick up bushes. Very good. And but our signposts also say, or our signs on those social media around there also say, please act responsibly and take your rubbish home with you. Or put it in the bin to the Bible. Okay? That's an addendum to that proposal.
Yeah.
All those in favour? Seconded by Graham, it was. All those in favour? That's all of us. Right. The next item on the agenda is to consider correspondence from Community Road Watch and decide upon a response. So we have received a request from Community Road Watch saying, does the council wish us to continue to support your residents with such sessions with the results reported to you by us or the residents in an effort to provide an So you've got that. What can we say? So we know, in case you don't know, Community Road Watch is a spin-off, or is the organisation that started the Speedwatch things across. Well, Speedwatch was started in conjunction with the police. In this area, a group was set up, Community Road Watch, which incorporated going around doing speed watches in a number of villages. The police then and Community Road Watch fell out because Community Road Watch, this is from my recollection, it may not be verbatim, were, according to the police, jumping out on vehicles from behind bushes, disputed by Community Road Watch, were issuing a lot of letters to the police and the police weren't actioning them, so there was a fallout. And Community Road Watch is currently not recognised by the police. We have a Speedwatch organisation within the village which is recognised by the police because it was set up with the police as a fallout partly of the Community Road Watch efforts that went on. Community Road Watch have continued to undertake sessions through the village and do send us in reports, and we, at the last meeting, we accepted that, we agreed to accept their last report. And so the question is, do we still want Community Road Watch to do such sessions? Well, we've 8 years since 2013, Hilton Parish Council has never said, Community Road Watch, please undertake any sessions. We have no objections to them doing their sessions. It's perfectly up to them. They can, and of course, we will gladly receive their reports, and they will be used within discussions of the Hilton Traffic Group. So there we go. That's some thoughts.
I think it might be confusing that you've got two groups doing effectively the same thing, similar thing.
Yeah, could be. But, you know, I see in one of their latest reports, they consider that the SID used by the one that they use, the West Geoc Mini SID, they consider that is more accurate than the one used by HAT, which they say has a 25 to 40% count error. So, you know, that sort of thing needs to go into the traffic group to be discussed, and then.
It's not very common, actually.
No, but then, as we heard from Andy earlier on, he recommends that we continue to use their reports, and I think all reports on traffic light noise should be considered by the council. But, you know, as to if they want to continue, I think that's up to them.
I think it wouldn't, well, I think we would choose to, I prefer to recognise our own speed watch.
Oh, I think we've already recognised that.
Yes, and this is additional information, but it's not preferred.
And we do have Hilton Action on Traffic providing us reports from the SID. We have our community speed watch group, which I think we should get more involved with the Hilton Traffic group if they would like to provide reports on their sessions that they have, because you support them when they want, or we support them when they want to advertise the vacancy or training or anything like that. Any other thoughts? Apart from moths? Decide upon a response. Thank you. I think when we got that email in from there, I would request that this goes on to the meeting. I believe we advised the organisation we do have a police-approved community. We do have a police-approved speed watch organisation in the village. So I think perhaps our response should be: thank you for your email. The Parish Council does have a police-recognised speed watch organisation in the village. However, please, if you are continuing with your reports, please send them in as before. Yeah, the Parish Council will be pleased to receive reports. Yeah.
Okay, then.
There's a proposal.
I'll go with that.
Graham seconding. All those in favour? Yeah, that's fine. Thank you. Right. Next on the agenda is to receive the financial reports. So these are included in your supporting documents. Everybody got them? Have you got any questions?
Yes.
Fire away.
Well, it's the 20 mile per hour stickers. I suddenly had a thought. Whose bins are they? Are they HTC bins? Should we get permission? And then to encourage parishioners to stick them on to it? I don't know.
Do you know, it's a good question. I don't know, because you go through so many villages around.
Actually, no, you own that bin, because nowadays, when you move into a new house, you actually have to pay for your bins. So
Do you really?
Yeah, you have to have a bin reconciliation or something like that, which is about 70 odd pounds. So I think you actually have the right to put like stickers on.
So if number 10 takes your bin and you've got number 10's bin,
Depends what conditions
But you see people that have like, you know, completely covered them in some kind of flowery,
yeah.
stitched back plastic. So
I suppose you can see them because it's camouflage, isn't it?
Is it legal?
well, yeah, I think that bill is assigned to your house, and nowadays you have to pay for that. So.
Because there's bins down that road at the moment with 30 mile an hour stickers on them.
Yeah. I'm not saying that.
No, that's a good point.
I'm not saying there aren't.
Yeah, no,
I'm
it's
just
a good
saying,
point.
should we be encouraging people to do things that may be a bit dodgy?
I think.
And if so, what is so? Do we want them on our green bins, on our black bins?
So the idea was that perhaps people like me wouldn't put them on our bins because no traffic goes
I was
past
going
them.
to say,
That we would encourage people along and the arterial routes to put them on, and put them on as many bins as they like. So if they have 3 bins, have 3 stickers. so that whatever day the bin is out, sticker saying 20 miles an hour.
Yeah, that's a good idea.
That was what we were talking about last time.
It was, but I don't think we sort of
Whether I articulated it quite as well.
So we're encouraging people from the through roads to ask the clerk for stickers,
Yes.
which you would have shared with the reality, wouldn't you?
Yeah. We asked that up. That's already gone out, hasn't it?
It has
Yeah.
already gone out.
It's already been posted.
If we suddenly get a response saying don't you dare,
Then Nicola has a note of which parishioners have asked, and we can ask them forthwith to remove the stickers.
And it's mainly along the main road, isn't it?
Well, that would
So
be.
I've only had 2 requests so far.
And so,
I wonder if we don't get any more requests, is it worth, perhaps
sneaking out on a
stay
Monday night.
around knocking on doors to say, would you like these stickers? It's not everybody.
I think you go and stick them on for them.
Sometimes.
Not when they pay for their bin.
Let's put it in Spectrum again and see what the
It's
response is.
not on the agenda.
No, I know it's not
You're
on the agenda.
receiving the
That's fine.
financial
We're going to resolve to put it in Spectrum again and promote it, because if we don't, it will take another month to come back onto the agenda, and I'm prepared to accept that if I'm not acting properly, that's the way it goes.
Is that from under the delegated power of
Yes.
Yeah.
sneakers?
No. Let's just be positive. Let's advertise this thing and try and encourage people to have them. And we're not going to resolve that, we're just going to do it. So the next thing is, any other comments on the financial report? The Finance Committee are going to meet in the next month, and will be submitting a report for the following Parish Council meeting with regards to the budget for next year and the precept for next year. So that will be coming soon, watch this space. So I propose that we receive the financial reports. Grand seconding, all those in favour? Okay. The next item on the agenda is that we've received the report from the external auditor, which says good stuff, basically.
Yeah. Well, basically, it's a limited assurance review rather than an audit. So basically says they didn't find any bad stuff.
Yeah. Which is grand. Thank you very much, Nicola, for making sure that all went well. And you have got some stuff you've got to post.
Has been posted.
Excellent. And you are, with regards to audit, there are some internal audits that we set up that are ongoing, like checking bank statements and things, so that's good. So that's why we get a clean bill of health. So I propose we receive the report from the external auditor. All those in, seconded, please. No, Ian, thank you very much. All those in favour? Thank you. Next. Is a payment received. We've received a payment of £12,500 from AC Properties in respect of the easement. We discussed that at the last meeting, how that came about. So, do we have to resolve to accept it? Of what we've done? It's just notification. And the next item on the agenda is approved payments. Now you have the list of payments on the agenda. If you would like me to read them out line by line, I'm quite happy to. If you're happy to accept that that's what they are. Or if you have any queries regarding any of them, please let me know, or let us know now. And if there are no objections, I would propose that we I propose that we accept, that we make those payments. Approve the payments for paying and paying.
I'll second it. Oh, yeah, listen.
Well done, Sharon, thank you. All those in favour? Lovely, thank you very much. Item 2122, 103, to consider and decide upon a request for Spectrum for a donation Imagine most of the production costs are covered by advertising, and we also do find donations, especially from regular bodies that we publish reports for. Our year has changed to September to August, since we missed some months due to COVID, so we're glad any contribution the council could make. Any thoughts? Personally, I'd like to see what their finances are like.
How much did we used to donate, if we used to, up until 2008 or something?
Don't have that information, I'd have to go back through the minute book.
It was hundreds rather than thousands.
Okay.
Yes, it was. I've got a feeling of 200 in my mind, but that's 13 years ago. That's a lot happens since then.
Yeah.
Obviously.
But it sort of fell off and we never got away with it.
Yeah.
So in some ways you could be saying paper pass, but you're right, I mean, maybe you see that.
I don't know what the finances spectrum are like.
I should think they've been hit by COVID really, because I presume some of the kids, people who pay to advertise now withdrawn, because it seemed a bit thinner when it came through.
Did it?
I mean, we do tend to use it, don't we, in terms of, we do.
Yeah.
I mean, obviously we had the reports, but then tonight I just put a notice it up.
Yeah.
Dog found and stuff.
I think it's worthwhile, it's something for the village, isn't it? And that's
Yeah.
what the parish
It's
council.
probably our main medium of community. We know that it goes to every house.
Absolutely.
Whether or not everybody reads it is a completely different thing. Well, clearly I haven't, because I didn't notice it was thinner than previous months. But how much?
It's going to be in the order of £200, isn't it?
200.
You say £20 a week, a month.
Okay. So a proposal is that.
Not necessarily present, right? That's in the order of it. If you want to see the finances,
I just might be me being over the top.
I mean, it's all about the grant, isn't it? Would you want to see
There's an application form,
exactly? That's the other thing, isn't it?
and there isn't an amount on the agenda to say how much we're proposing spending.
Is that bad? Do we need that?
You don't need it, it was something that you said you would try and do, where the information was available.
Am I right in thinking that Prince Anthony donate £1,000?
More than that.
More
But
than
they have far more money than we do.
Indeed.
And
Lots of this we
the
can
article
consider,
is far bigger.
Yes.
And
Yes.
anyway,
I think £200 would be reasonable.
okay. So I propose that Hilton Parish Council makes a donation to Spectrum of £200 and thanks them for their continued efforts on promoting the parish or accepting our articles. Sharon's seconding that. All those in favour? Oh, well, there you go. Come back. Good. Councillors' items only. No discussion, no decisions can be made. Sharon.
The other thing I was going to ask is about the Wi-Fi in here. Whether we could have
In fact, Nicola asked, there's no password at the moment, there's no Wi-Fi at the
There's no,
minute.
it's only the internal,
No discussion, no.
there is no access to the internet from the village.
Sorry, shouldn't have been discussing it. Is that it, Jen?
Yeah.
Thank you. Ian?
The rumble strip as we go out to the village on the Gravy Way, have we brought to the attention of the County Council how bad a state that's in?
There's a work order already raised for it. We're discussing.
We're discussing.
I thought that had been, and I was just checking because that's not getting any better.
Lovely.
Okay, thanks.
Sarah? Great.
I didn't, but then earlier on today, riparian survey was mentioned. Can the Parish Council, or sorry, could the Parish Council, under its delegated powers and responsibility, complete that survey?
Sorry, what did you say?
The riparian stuff is drained now.
Oh,
So
right.
individuals are being consulted, but I wonder whether the Parish Council could.
Perhaps you ought to look at the survey.
What's the update?
It's about your understanding of riparian issues, and the Parish Council have got a fairly good understanding.
Okay. I know.
Not what we're discussing.
Now, that's 3 items we discussed, each one of them. That's good going, isn't it? Right. Is it me?
Oh, yes, it's you, yes.
Sarah, do feel free to say, let Nicola know if there are any working groups or committees that you'd like to get involved with.
Okay.
And thank you for putting your name forward to join Parish Council. I just wanted to mention about the planning meeting regarding land adjacent to Witchwood at the end. We mentioned, it's come up a couple of times, but I'd written down that I was going to mention it. So Graham and I went. There were, as I said, the vote was 7-7, with the chairman casting his vote against the application to build 18 properties. There was an awful lot of discussion about bins. It was almost the most important thing that was being discussed. One commissioner from Hilton was also present and raised some comments regarding the access to the site. I assume there will be an appeal. I have written to our district and county councillors asking them for their advice regards how we would work. I don't know, because HDC, I guess, will have to support the decision that was made to decline the application. So, but I've not received a reply back from them yet. So, as we do, we will ensure that parishioners are advised, because it's a planning application that was commented on by county councillors who stated, I drove through Hilton the other day, the cricket pavilion was shuttered, boarded up. Hilton is a dying village, which should be, the approval of these properties will rejuvenate this dying village. So there will be words that we will need to say about how such a decision could be made by people who clearly don't know anything about Hilton. And of course we had no right to respond to those comments that were made. So it's a bit concerning seeing how the process operated when, but you also had a lot of noise being made regarding the lack of land that's made available for affordable housing. And that is where they feel they will be attacked by the planning inspector for declining the application. But of course then there was discussion around the fact that HDC had tried to incorporate the affordable housing needs of Hemmingford Grey and Hemmingford Abbots within this development, whereas in fact certainly one of the Hemmingfords said that their local housing needs should be met by housing in their village, not a village that is this remote, and lots of toing and throwing about how our villages abut, and the developer was given an opportunity, or the agent for the developer was given a longer time to speak and to be able to answer questions that was raised to him. It was a bit disappointing we weren't able to come back after the developer had spoken, because, as I said, comment was being made by people who don't know the village. So we will look to try and support the refusal of the application at future meetings as possible. And I just wanted that out there because obviously people in the village don't necessarily know that's what happened. So that was my last thing. And the other thing I was going to put on there, the other thing I had written down, but I've already said it, is re-advertise the 20th September. Stickers. So that's my parish council stuff. Thank you. The next section on the agenda is a couple of items that we're going to discuss in closed session. So, I've got a resolve to do so. So I resolve that 22. I propose it. Well, I resolve it as well. 21, 22, 105 and 106 are discussed in closed session.